DTS 78, another round of Iron Banner is here, and it's raising the arguments for dedicated servers yet again. All that and more coming up.
You're listening to Destiny the Show. Welcome, Guardians.
What up, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON. Happy 2016. Welcome to DTS 78, I believe. Joined as always by my awesome co-host, Ditty. How are you doing this week, man?
Doing awesome. I just got back from a really long road trip to pick up our puppy, Flynn.
Who would that be? I cut you off there at the end.
Flynn? Yeah.
That's right. Where can people take a look at Mr. Flynn?
On Twitter, at PoodleFlynn. Also Instagram, I think, at PoodleFlynn. We haven't really set that completely up yet, because when I set the Instagram up, apparently you have to do it on mobile for some stupid reason. And I did it on my Windows phone, but since the Instagram app is in beta, as soon as I created the account, it immediately disabled my account for reasons like my IP address was flagged for malicious content. And I'm just like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So I sent in a support ticket to the Instagram team, and they got that squared away.
Excellent. Well, I hope you and Mr. Flynn have an excellent... I said excellent like 3 times there. Wow. Hope you guys have a great day. What'd you do this week other than pick up the poodle? Anything in the gaming world?
Yeah, I got some Iron Banner going. Had to use that Meta multi-tool that I got last week. Oh my god, it wrecks face, and it's everywhere.
So, is it Mida or Meta? Because I've always said Meta, and then I've had a few people in comments be like, I can't stand the way you say the Mida. So I'm trying now to say Mida.
How did I just
think
say
like
it?
Midas touch. You said Meta, but I think you can say it either way. I looked up a dictionary of it, and both pronunciations was there. But yeah, Mida is king right now. It is such a good weapon.
That's an unintentional pun. Midas, King Midas.
He's got the
multi-tool.
touch. Yeah, might be. I haven't read the flavor text for the weapon in a long time. So how was your Iron Banner experience?
A lot more Striker Titans.
Yeah, the buffs have seemed to make them more prevalent. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. And Sunbreakers, man, I feel bad for them because I can now kill them. So I don't really feel bad for them.
Do you think they're where they need to be, balance-wise? Do you think it's appropriate?
Yes,
All
I
right.
would say so. Because, yeah, it's better. It's a
Did
lot
you
better.
play anything this week other than Destiny?
I played some League. I got back up to gold finally. And,
Nice.
But that's about it. Iron Banner was the majority of my gaming, and I didn't play that much, I'll be honest.
I unfortunately got sick on New Year's Day, and not like hungover sick, but I've been hanging out with the family. One of the family members had a sinus infection, and I ended up catching that, so I've been sick now for 4 or 5 days. Sorry if I sound bad.
Nah, it's fine.
So
I've
my
been
head's
sick a couple times on the podcast.
It's all right. I think people understand. This is the time of year where you mainly get sick. I played a little bit of Iron Banner, but my head's kind of foggy right now, so every time I get on to play, it's just to do the bounties, and then when I finished up with the daily bounties, I kind of hop off. I've enjoyed Iron Banner. The lag is real, as everybody complains. I've not played Iron Banner on PS4 to compare it with the Xbox One.
It's
so
fairly
I'd be curious.
similar.
Is it? Yeah, comparable?
Yeah, it's comparable.
I played a lot of The Witcher 3 this week because it was on sale for like $25. Man, with you liking Shadow of Mordor, Ditty, and Skyrim, I think it would be like a match made in heaven. It is such a good open world RPG. I like slept on it this whole last year, but now, dude, there is so much stuff to do, but all of the characters and actions, you are interested in their storylines. The storylines grow, and all these secondary quests are good enough to be, full-on main quest type things. It's supposed to be super long, too, like crazy, crazy long, 120, 150 hours to complete, which, I don't know, I'll probably finish it sometime this summer if that's the case then.
Yeah, I would say, I was just about to say, that's what Destiny needs. It needs more side quests, but we got a lot of that with Taken King, but I guess they need more substantial side quests would be the answer there.
I thought it's I thought about this week because a lot of your actions in the side quests impact how people perceive you in the world and the quest opportunities that you have. And I would love to see that in Destiny, but since it's such a shared world experience, I don't know how they would handle crafting a more personalized set of relationships with the characters. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to go talk with Cade and do the RPG thing from The Witcher where you're given all these different dialogue options and you can take different routes. That would be super cool, but I don't know how you do that with a shared world experience. Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, they don't offer, branching choices for you to impact your relationships with people. But that would be like the next step for a shared world game. That would be such a crazy experience. So I want to remind everybody to log in on Thursday, January 7th. I think it's Thursday. If you play Destiny between January 7th and the 10th, you will get yourself a free emblem that is yet to be revealed. It was talked about in the last Bungie Weekly update. We mentioned it in last week's show. You need to complete an activity in the director. Is that right, Ditty?
Yes, so they can track your progress.
Also on the 7th, we're getting some items, aren't we?
I don't remember. But
the Motes of Light and the Strange Coins.
Yeah. 15 of each, right?
Yeah, 15 of each, and then there's one, like a package from the Postmaster that we don't really know what that item's going to be just yet.
Yeah, so I would anticipate something along the lines of last year's Christmas, 2014's Christmas, where we got like a legendary engram or something.
It's crazy that it's 2016, man. This year went by really quick. I don't know about you, but...
It's all those DTS shows, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Thank you, listeners. It's pretty cool to see that even during the dry spots, we're still carrying really good listenership and people are still hanging around. And I've been taking more breaks from Destiny, as we've kind of talked about on the show the last few weeks. But every time I come back, like when I came back to play Iron Banner, felt like putting on a very familiar glove or a pair of shoes that you really like wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, I
favorite
loved
pair of
it,
pants.
Yeah, it's like those jeans that are just perfect. And you're like, man.
But they have all the holes in them, and winter comes around, you can't wear them because they're too cold.
Yeah, all the haters. Iron Banner starts ripping holes in the pants pretty quick when you have like, oh great, join in progress, 2 versus a fire team of 6, about to get mercied. Thanks for the medallion, boys. I'll see you next time.
Every medallion you redeem is a new hole in your pants.
I love the medallion idea. I wish other games would implement that because it gives you a reason to stick around even if you're going to lose the game. It's like, all right, I'll redeem it later and it will still be worth my time. Like, it's a great idea for just the player's psyche or mental attitude to make the blow of a loss less powerful and to keep you in the match.
Yep, absolutely.
So Twilight Garrison, can you explain what it is to... I'm sure there's plenty of new Guardians who didn't hear us talk about this new exotic.
Twilight Garrison is a Titan chest piece that allows you to evade while in the air. So think of the Night Stalker's Shade Step, but in the air. And it's super awesome. And there's a bunch of clips of people dodging rockets in the Crucible. And there was this recent post that came up about using the evade as close to the ground as possible. So it looks like the evade, or what's it called? The thruster pack from Halo. It looks really cool, and it's really useful. Yeah, it looks a lot
like thrust pack. I want this item. This is really cool, like a skill-based item. I wish the other classes had something like this. Obviously, you have Shade Step. Night Stalker. Words. I'm sick. Cut me a break. Warlocks, though, we don't really have any kind of an evade like this. That would be dangerous, though. Could you imagine Warlock evade into melee?
It would be... extremely dangerous. I can just picture it now. The setup for that is going to be the Stormcaller, where you have your melee and grenades recharging each other. So you have all the time. And then you have the Tlaloc exotic scout rifle you get from the gunsmith.
Yeah.
So you always have your super available if you want it, right? But you just evade into people's faces and then lightning strike them from 17,000 feet away, because that's the melee range for Warlocks.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played a Twilight Garrison player in PvP yet. Have you?
I have. They are super annoying. Especially, you can use it while you're in Sunbreaker.
Oh.
So you just evade, hammer, dead. It's pretty insane.
Well, I think we're going to stay on the PvP route. Our next bit of news comes from Planet Destiny. If you guys haven't been listening to their other podcast, Crucible Radio. These guys talk about PvP each week, and it's an awesome show. They get John Wyszynewski on. I think this might be the third time he's on, maybe the second time, but he is lead PvP designer for Destiny. I can't remember his official title. I wish I would have written it down. We've talked about him here on the show quite a bit. And they had him on as well as one other guest, which I'm trying to find his name for right now.
Sage Merrill.
Thank you. And they talked about best subclasses per mode. They brought forth some of the weapons that are doing really well right now. And first of all, they talked a little bit about the auto rifle. What did they mention, and how is it high rate of... wow, words. Dude, just carried away. I'm struggling.
So John explained that auto rifles, especially the high impact archetypes, is very sensitive to small changes. So just the nature of an auto rifle being fully automatic, it's really hard to tinker with those damage numbers. So they kind of explaining a little bit why the balance changes in this last weapons update patch were so different than what we were expecting. So like the 0.7% increase damage buff. He explains a little bit in depth in the podcast about why they did what they did.
Yep, and they're saying that the high rate of fire, low impact archetypes are actually in a pretty good spot right now, which is something I think is probably true. I have seen a ton of Doctrine of Passing, the auto rifle for Year 2 trials. I've seen a lot of it, and it really, up close and personal, if you're landing precision shots, it kills super fast. Not a bad weapon at all. Have you seen the stats on it, Ditty? It has 100 for rate of fire, so the maximum amount rate of fire, and 2 for the impact. I mean, it is so, you could barely even see the impact bar.
Yeah. I've been using a lot of, what's it called? The Monte Carlo recently, and I really like it. I don't win a lot of gunfights, but my play style is I like to outmaneuver my opponents, not outshoot my opponents. So people I kill usually aren't looking at me anyways. But since I run an intellect discipline build, the Monte Carlo increased melee charge rate perk really makes me have everything all the time, and I really like it.
Very good. They explained the unflinching perk, and I'm going to quote here from the Planet Destiny recap over on their website. And I quote for unflinching, "As suspected, the amount the screen will kick when scoped will be reduced with the unflinching perk. The amount of zoom affects the amount of kick, so that means flinch will always look harsher for a sniper scope than, say, a scout rifle. To induce the most kick, doing any amount of damage will cause it, but more damage means more kick. This means that a heavy machine gun would cause more flinch than an auto rifle. The biggest way to induce flinch is to hit an enemy from the side. This moves their camera around much more than head-on damage." I thought that was a really interesting reveal into a perk that's been argued about on Reddit for freaking forever. Every weapon review, when I talk about flinch, there's always 2 camps, and now at least we have some official word from the boys designing PvP. I don't know if that's going to change the way you play, where you sneak up on people from the side more often, but still kind of interesting. And then Guerrilla Fighter is listed here in the perks, and it's basically not used very often, but Wyszynewski was worried that it was going to become very powerful in the right situations. Ditty, off the top of your head, do you remember what Guerrilla Fighter is?
I don't, but I'm going to try and look it up for you real quick.
Okay, and I'm going to quote here from the little blip they write. "But as it turns out, most playstyles in the Crucible just don't have room to fit in. As always, John ensured that if perks aren't used enough, they can always be removed from the pool in future content releases to make room for cooler ones." End quote.
So
All right,
Guerrilla Fighter is increased accuracy, handling, and damage resistance while shooting this weapon from behind cover.
Huh. What do you make of that?
Man, if you know how to head glitch in Destiny Crucible, or in any multiplayer game ever, you're basically using your environment to your advantage, because head glitching is when you can just kind of poke your eyes over a ledge, but the enemy can't really see you, but you can still shoot them. That's kind of what it is. And with Guerrilla Fighter, that just makes it even better.
So do you think this is referring, when you crouch in front of a certain height object in Destiny and you're touching it and then you ADS, it pokes you out, kind of like a cover pop system?
Yes.
I wonder if that's needed
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if that's needed to proc Guerrilla Fighter. I want to test this now. I need to look and see if I have a weapon with this. Best subclasses per mode. So they have a new stat or spreadsheet called Lift, and it lets them know which specific subclass performs the best in each playlist. Based on the top 10% of players, here are which subclasses are on the top in regards to kill-death, the kill-death ratio. So this is not win-loss, but this is a really interesting list. Where does it start, Ditty?
Control. Number 1 subclass, drumroll, Sunbreakers.
What a surprise.
I mean,
doesn't come as a shock.
No, the amount of kills you can get while in Sunbreaker, it's less now, but it's still very useful for zone control. I can control, I guess.
I play Voidwalker when I play Iron Banner and when I play Control for this very reason, because Voidwalker can lock off a capture point with their damage over time AoE effect that stays after a Nova Bomb or their Vortex Grenade. And Sunbreaker, you can actually do something similar, but you can almost throw multiple Nova Bombs. Think of Sunbreaker like a Nova Bomber that has a little bit more ammunition in the tank. No, it's not going to give you as free a kills as the giant hitbox of a Voidwalker Nova Bomb, but it seems like a very fitting pair that if you're a good Sunbreaker who's stopping caps with wise super usage, that you're going to rack up a lot of kills, right?
Yep.
Up next is Clash, and it's the Gunslinger. Not a surprise, man. Golden Gun. Ditty, you're the resident hunter here. I do love Hunter in PvP, but you've Golden Gunned way more than me, so...
If you want to get a ton of kills in Crucible, well, Sunbreaker, but Gunslinger is where it's at, because, I mean, year 1 hunters were the go-to. They were kings in Crucible.
Yeah,
but
throughout
now,
the year.
You know, they have the Achlyophage symbiote. They actually nerfed it. Like,
yeah, Sassy's upset about that.
Duration that you can have your Golden Gun active, but you do get that extra shot. I think it's really useful to have, you know, it's just so you have to be accurate with it, but it's one hit kill, so you can't really complain when you have Golden Gun in your pocket.
Half the time for your Golden Gun when you're using the symbiote, that seems like a pretty fat nerf that went a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it before it happened.
And then Sassy was very upset by that, I know.
Yeah.
That was my favorite class in PvP of all time. Once I rolled my Hunter up and just Golden Gun, Bones of Yao. Oh, so fun. And a rewarding super too, because it requires you to actually aim the gun before you delete the opponent.
Yep.
Rift, it's Defender. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Speculate for me.
Well, I'm going to read the little blurb here on the article. Defenders succeed in Rift by almost double any other class in any other game mode, according to Bungie. Something about the bubble makes Rift a piece of cake. You know, I don't know what the deal is. I don't...
So Helm of Saint 14 bubble on your objective or bubble on the Rift ball?
It's got... I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, you know, if you bubble the Rift, you know, in your team, you get Blessing or weapons or whatever, you can always get the Rift, and so you will always have a Rift runner. So then you can just have your whole team have an overshield as you try and score it. But other than that, I don't know, suppression grenades? But that would, I would think mayhem, whatever. Yeah. That's surprising.
The last three are kind of more predictable and probably not as influential. Skirmish, it's Sunsinger and the Striker Titans. Sunsinger because self-res makes really a lot of sense in a res-based playlist. Striker makes sense because Strikers are in a great place. Elimination, Ditty. So Trials, our Trials playlist. Who's the standout?
Stormcaller, Gunslinger, Sunbreaker, and Striker. The most balanced, the most evenly spread out of all the game modes. This is surprising.
Yeah, that's nice to see since it's the most competitive game mode, I would say, out of all of them in Destiny. Mm-hmm. And then the Rumble playlist, it's the Striker Titan. I'm assuming these notes are heavily influenced since the December patch, because I doubt Striker Titan was the number one Rumble KD class prior to the December buffs.
I don't know. I mean, I was playing some Rumble when Taken King came out, and I was still seeing a lot of Striker Titans. I think the shoulder charge, just being able to delete people off the map for a certain amount of time. Yeah. Shoulder charge with the health regeneration attached to that perk, or not attached to it, but you can have a perk with it that regenerates your health. And the Fist of Havoc, not only can you Fist of Havoc a group of people, But while you're Fist of Havocing, you can't be killed, really. And so you just delete those people. So they're pretty strong.
I want to do a shout out to a random dude in matchmaking I played yesterday in Iron Banner. I don't remember your gamer tag, but I remember the play. I was on the dungeons. I was working my way up through a little corridor, and I was shooting at him. He's almost dead. He's way high in the air. I mean, he's way far away from me, Ditty. He turns in midair with like a sliver of health, does a striker Superman dive. I can't remember what that perk is, but you know where they do the Superman dive?
Yep.
Flew like 60 feet and killed me. And it was like, I put the controller on my lap and like almost slow clapped. I was like, you know what? Bravo.
Attach the slow clap emote. Do it.
Dude, if you know who you are,
by the way.
Thank you. If you know who you are, shout outs. That was sick. Hit 'em gems and let's wrap up this bit, Ditty.
Oh, man. Scout Rifle. Tuonela SR4. I probably butchered that name. But it's a Scout Rifle obtainable through Arms Day package. And, you know, it might just be a standard Scout Rifle, but the fact that you get it from an Arms Day package means you can essentially re-roll the perks every single week. But it's a very... Scouts are in a really good place right now since Pulse Rifles got nerfed, you know, especially with the Meta multi-tool. But
and it's a legendary.
Yeah, exactly. It's a legendary, so it opens up an exotic slot on your loadout. But it offers pretty decent aim assist, I hear.
Oh, well, I want to look out for it the next time it's around. These are weapons, by the way, that John went out of his way to talk about that people are doing really well with them, and they might surprise you. Plan C is the other one, which actually isn't that surprising to me. I've seen fusion rifles a little bit more common since December, and Plan C's always been pretty good, right?
Yeah, the ability to just whip it out and one-shot somebody from halfway across the hallway, it's pretty good.
If you have the accuracy. And then super good advice. I don't get why this is here at all.
I think it's because even if you miss your shots, it doesn't consume the ammo. And if you can survive that engagement, you haven't really wasted that much ammo. Because
so you could have heavy ammo for a long time.
You can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. And wrapping up here, I'm going to read the last quote from the article. John and Sage do have some interesting ideas for general gameplay improvements, including future adjustments to hunters and warlocks and different ways in which playstyles could be recognized in-game. Their goal is to make everything viable, and though this may be an impossible task, this won't stop them from trying. John made it clear that he would like to see private matches as well, but nothing concrete to share as far as soon-to-come updates. Rest assured, though, we have some cool things to look forward to as we move into 2016, including another balance patch very early in the year. Confirmation, so we're getting another balance patch. I'm betting you March. I think that's probably March or April. March is more.
I would hope for February. I'm going to be a little bit optimistic. Yeah, they say very early, and you know, they don't really say a season, so they don't say winter, spring, or early summer, which is good on them. It gives them a little bit of leeway, but very early. I think February would be a good idea because February is when I expect to see the next world event. Yeah, just like Sparrow Racing League. And I think along with that would be a nice update to weapon balance.
Excellent. Moving on to our next piece of news. This is the Bungie Please page. It's a Destiny subreddit thread that is updated by the community, voted on by the community. It's a list that Cosmo looks at, and it's just cataloging requests from the community and quality of life changes we'd like to see to make Destiny a better game. I'll quote from the thread here that was submitted by Doc Red, and I quote, since the implementation of our Bungie Please page, which Cosmo has stated that Bungie is watching, things have been going very well. We've been able to cross off 5 items from the page, such as being able to buy planetary materials, buying weapon parts, adding Sparrow Racing, making the Crucible quest chain easier, and the removal of fire teams from Rumble. We still have many more on the list that are being tracked, and we recently add dedicated servers to the Crucible on the list. End quote. So Ditty, briefly, why are we talking about this?
We're talking about this because, you know, the community suggests all these different ideas, and it's something that Bungie is actively looking at. And if we look at the 5 things that Bungie has implemented into the game that have been suggested on Reddit, the Bungie forums, anywhere on the internet, Twitter, whatever, we look at the 5: Sparrow Racing, planetary materials being able to purchase, no fire teams in Rumble, and buying weapon parts. For those 4, the 5th one is the Crucible chain quest, but the 4 previous were implemented in December with the December update. And I think it's really important to look at that timeline. This is something relatively new that Bungie is really starting to check off.
So these have all happened since Taken King's launch, essentially.
Yes. So the Crucible chain quest they fixed within a month of Taken King's launch because they're like, wow, that takes a really long time. Even I hate that, and I designed it. So they made that change, and then the last 4 were in December of 2015. And I think with this list that we have here, and we can go through a couple of these after I talk about this, but they've implemented the changes very recently, and I think we can expect to see more things on this list checked off in the future.
Absolutely. So this thread's going to be linked on our website, and if you have suggestions, you should put it here. It's being viewed, and there's a chance that it might get voted and added onto the list. One of my favorite ones that stands out here is adding a gun range to the tower. That is a great idea. You get to try out weapons when you get them right then and there. Might be cool to stand next to your buddy as he's firing away at something. Maybe they could have a cave that you could shoot into, just for memory's sake. That would be one of the ranges. I don't know. I thought that was pretty rad.
Yeah.
The barbershop idea, too.
I think the gun range. Let's do the gun range first.
Okay.
And then I'll talk about the barbershop. The gun range would be really interesting. I remember seeing this suggested a year ago when Destiny first came out, especially the barbershop, too. But the gun range, we have Arms Day. Let us test the different variations of the Arms Day weapons. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. Also, barber idea. We've thought about this forever. If you didn't like the way your Guardian looks, too bad. You can re-roll a new one because that's the only way to change their appearance.
Yeah, because some of the hair options are just super ridiculous. And I guess they're... Skrillex hair, yeah. They're futuristic.
Yep.
I think that's what they tried to go for. But... some guys were like, look at this asshole. And he just created his own. And now he's like, oh my God, I hate my hair. I'm just going to wear my helmet all the time now.
I'm stuck with a guy who looks like a clown.
Yeah.
Indeed. Where was the next? Oh, the ability to organize the vault. That would be so nice. Like arranged by exotic, arranged by weapon type, arranged by date added. That would be so helpful for sure.
What would really help here, I think, man, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Oh, I just totally forgot. Trophy case. Give me a trophy case. I have year 1 weapons in my vault that I don't want to get rid of. I don't want to get rid of my Fatebringer. I don't.
Nope.
Or Vision of Confluence, or any of the raid weapons. Vex Mythoclast. I don't want to get rid of those kinds of things. I just want to put them in a trophy case to just have, and it doesn't take up my vault space.
Maybe a little cool flavor text. This also goes hand in hand with what we've requested for a long time. The ability to read the Grimoire cards in-game instead of outside of the game.
Please. Hire the guys who do the ghost stories, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
The audio versions of the Grimoire cards. And just put that in the game. That would be awesome.
Throw some concept art over it, because we know there's a lot of unused concept art that you guys have commissioned and not... Actually... They might have to pay for that stuff because if it's really commissioned and not used,
This might be spoilers, but Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when they're reading the Deathly Hallows story, that animation that goes along with it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Hell yeah. Do something like that. Not like a Destiny cutscene. We've seen those before.
They could actually outsource that to the community. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they could literally outsource that to the community and have that be a film festival. Tell this Grimoire card in the way that you know how. Because there's so many, if you look at the Bungie creation page, there's so many incredible artists who play this game and who like it, who would gladly donate their artwork to it and do it like this found footage kind of thing. Have people submit pieces of artwork for it, edit it together. That would be very cool, very successful.
I think that would be awesome.
Transmog system, that is something from Diablo and World of Warcraft and plenty of other MMORPGs. It basically lets you dress your character up the way you want to make them look aesthetically pleasing while still retaining the stats of the armor previously. So if I were to transmog my helmet to make it look like the Vault of Glass helmet, it would still have the same stats as my current Iron Banner helmet. I don't think you should be able to transmog exotics, but I think for all of the legendaries, it'd be nice to be able to transmog stuff.
Especially the raid armor, Raid armor took so long to acquire a full set, and now it's not really worth it.
The Warlock Crotazen chest, I loved it with the big neck.
Yep.
I missed the way my character looked previously, or even during House of Wolves. So, what are some of the ones that stand out to you on this list, Ditty?
Do something special with the Kvostov.
Yeah.
Why is it the first weapon in the game that we just get rid of almost immediately? I mean, yeah, I get it, but it's a cool looking gun. It sounds really cool. It's got the cracked red dot sight. Let us upgrade it like Husk of the Pit or the Stranger's Rifle. They implemented the Stranger's Rifle rarity upgrade, right? With Taken King. But now the Kvostov just sits there as a level 1 white auto rifle.
I think we're going to see time travel in future Destiny storylines where we go back to the Forgotten Age or the Forgotten Era or whatever it's called in the lore, because Dragoon is a lore expert. Thank you. And probably there'll be a whole host of weapons that are like...
Before the collapse.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool. That would be a great expansion, There's a lot of potential where they could take the story. Updating the old raids, no doubt. No doubt. They've said that it's something that they want to do. I would be very surprised if this is not some kind of an event. And I'll be a little bit sad if it's an event, because I feel like it's something that should just be inherently done, not packaged into an event to be like, looky here, we gave you something new, when it's something that I've made it an expectation in my mind, which might be very needy or entitled or whatever. But
here's a Taken version of the Atheon fight.
Where you get taken through the portal and have to fight more Taken. Dedicated servers, I think this is where we're going to wrap our conversation up today. The return of Iron Banner has brought with it the desire, complaints, begging, everything under the sun, hoping for dedicated servers and improved multiplayer connection. If you've played any amount of Destiny PvP, you have dealt with bad connection games, right?
Yes.
And it's starting to feel archaic. When Ditty and I were talking in the pre-show, a lot of the shooters I play nowadays, and he does too, have dedicated servers, whether it be Halo 5 or Battlefield 4 or Overwatch, or if you're going to play Counter-Strike Go, granted, I'm mixing some PC stuff in there. Destiny's starting to feel pretty dated with its peer-to-peer. And when it works, I don't think peer-to-peer's all that bad, but when it doesn't work, it can get downright obnoxious. I had an Iron Banner game just yesterday where the dude who was red bar and teleporting was outrageously far ahead on the scoreboard because you can't kill him. In 1 second, you're putting a ton of rounds into him, and the next you're dead. He's blinked completely off screen, glitching away. What do you think about dedicated servers, Ditty? We've talked about it a lot here on the show.
I think they would definitely benefit Destiny, or Destiny would benefit greatly from dedicated servers. But even with dedicated servers, your problems are not solved 100%. We've seen this with Halo 5 very recently. Halo 5 is really good, but you're connecting to that server. So if there's nobody else connecting to that server, you're not going to find games very often.
Australia and EU.
I'm thinking Australia and EU specifically. Australians, man, it was like 2 weeks after Halo 5 hit, maybe 100 people playing. And so they're not finding as many games. And so that's a really big issue. If you could maybe choose the server you want to connect to and you can just deal with that ping, I think that would be really, really nice. But, even like you're connecting to a server, yes, your connection to the server could be bad. And so your experience is going to be bad. And so I don't think it's going to be 100% the number one fix-all issue for dedicated servers to be implemented.
But it's something we both agree we expect from Destiny 2, and we'll be very shocked if it's not there for at least the PvP side of things. While it isn't the snap of the fingers fix like you pointed out, it goes a long way to preventing some of the manipulation that people can do with the network. And a lot of the tricks from Halo Reach, which there are pieces of Halo Reach's netcode somewhere lying in the bowels of Destiny. It's built from the engines that they've worked with over time. I believe there was the GDC talk that was posted on Reddit that mentioned some of those ties to Reach. Where Reach, you could do the standby trick all the time. A lot of the weird connection blurps that I see remind me a lot because you and I both played a ton of Reach, dude. And the whole standby trick, that was well known to every Reach player and every Halo 3 player, you know?
Yep.
So, dedicated servers too, I don't know if they're going to have the ability to put them in place for PvE activities.
This is something, the infrastructure, like building the infrastructure for dedicated servers to be used. This is something Bungie would have had to have been doing starting
for
last
years.
year.
Yeah.
But at the latest, when Destiny launched.
Totally.
Like, just finding locations to put the dedicated servers all around the
data
world.
centers.
The data centers. Yeah, it's a massive undertaking. And if they haven't started it yet, we're not going to get it by Destiny 2. That's the sad truth. So hopefully they're working on it, but we don't know if they are or not.
The pressure lies on the fact that Destiny and those connection issues are starting to feel from a bygone era.
Mm-hmm.
The other competitors in the
console.
industry, their competitors in the FPS console industry are moving towards dedicated servers. And the longer it takes to get the netcode either improved or dedicated servers, that obviously would be an improvement, the longer that takes, the further Destiny feels to fall behind when you have those unplayable laggy matches.
Are there any Activision games that have dedicated servers right now?
If you count Activision Blizzard. Dude, you know what we forgot to mention, by the way? There's a lot of games if you count Activision Blizzard. Sorry, I got way sidetracked. MLG was sold to Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
I can't believe we didn't talk about that. It was sold for $46 million. And we talked about MLG and Activision opening up their own esports broadcast studio out in, I think, San Bernardino, out in California, right?
Yeah, and they CEO or the head guy for this Activision Blizzard esports scene is a former MLG guy.
Yep. I think the chief financial officer, the CFO.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So as I've put out a commentary about Destiny esports, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a possibility with all of the MLG
with Destiny
assets.
2 they will.
I think, if they have dedicated servers like we were just talking about, I think Destiny could be a competitive option. Custom games, dedicated servers, and an esports support from the developer or publisher. I think Destiny esports could happen for sure.
There is a ravenous PvP community. There are a lot of people who just love Destiny PvP, and even in content drought, they are still grinding. They're still doing their trials runs. They still really like the game, and I include myself in that camp because every time I come back for an Iron Banner or get on to do PvP, Destiny has a very unique feel. After going off playing Halo 5, some more Battlefield 4, some Black Ops 3, you come back and you play Destiny, and it's like, you know what? There's potential here. It doesn't always work out, and there are some glaring issues with the connection, but when it does work out, it's a really stinking fun team FPS. Where can people find your content?
Twitter.com/PoodleFlynn, POODLEFLYNN. Wow, I just did that on the spot, and it's really hard to spell poodle out loud.
Boom.
Man.
Yeah.
Twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, DTS, and YouTube.com/Wooshness, WOOOSHNESS.
Remember to check out our friends over at DestinyTracker.com, the best place to track your stats in the Destiny universe. All the links from today that we talked about and more is on our website, DestinyTheShow.com. You can follow us on Twitter and tweet at us, at DestinyTheShow. You can follow me on Twitter at BBKDRAGOON, and I'm on YouTube under the same name. Ditty, let's talk about next week that MLG deal a little bit more and bring up that article from, it's probably 2 months ago now, don't you think?
Let's do it. That sounds like a good idea.
Have a good week, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll talk with you next time.